Fox News Alert, and we are back. We want to bring in criminal defense attorney Phil Holloway. He's also a former assistant district attorney because, Phil, Cohen is on the stand. Cross-examination has started again, so we are underway. Over the weekend, Cohen had a lot of time to sit and think, but so did the defense team. So how do you think this goes this morning after those text messages from last week were kind of eye-opening, and you even had people like Anderson Cooper saying, whoa, that was not good for the prosecution?
Yeah, great to be with you guys. Look, Alvin Bragg's case is absolutely falling apart. That train is completely off the tracks. Guess who else had the weekend to think about Michael Cohen's testimony? The jury. And in fact, I think it was brilliant for the defense teams to sort of time it so that they could take a break for the long weekend, and sort of the last thing that they were hearing about is all of Michael Cohen's lies. They're hearing about his bias, all of the things that will cause that jury to disbelieve him. And then they come back this morning and they get hit with more cross-examination, more impeachment of Michael Cohen. And let's be sure, there is a lot to work with. He's got prior inconsistent statements, probably thousands of them that they can catalog. Not only does he have that, he's got the felony convictions based on fraud and dishonesty, and he's got bias. Any witness that has this degree of bias is not worthy of belief. If he says the sun is orange in the sky, then I'm not going to believe it if it's coming from Michael Cohen and he's got that kind of bias. In addition, y'all, we've got the defense has got some witnesses coming up. I would not be surprised if we don't hear from Costello, okay, the former attorney who will come to this courtroom, I think, and tell this jury that Michael Cohen, not only has he lied in all these other courtrooms, he lied to you guys in this one. And if that happens, this case may very well be over for Alvin Bragg.
Okay, so let's just refresh our viewers' memory. Brad Smith, we believe, will be called. That seems to be the indication we're getting from the emails inside the court. I think it's an open question on Costello, and I think the judge has been pretty strict about where these witnesses go. Here is where Costello went with Dana and me last Thursday. Watch here.
When we got into the discussion of the Stormy Daniels NDA, he said specifically, and I cross-examined him on this was my idea. It was his idea to take care of the NDA because he had been contacted by a lawyer for Stormy Daniels who said she was going to claim that Donald Trump had sex with her. Cohen said, I didn't believe the allegation, but nevertheless, it would be embarrassing to Melania. That's Michael Cohen's words. He said, and so I decided to take care of this myself.
If you're a juror and you hear that, you're like, whew, I mean, could be devastating stuff. And Costello was the attorney for Michael Cohen when apparently this happened, 2016, 17, 18. But the judge may say it's hearsay and not allow any of this.
Yeah, well, it's not hearsay. Yeah, it's not hearsay. By definition, hearsay is an out-of-court statement that you're offering to the jury to prove the truth of the matter asserted. Here, it would not be offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted. It would be offered simply to prove that Cohen talks out of both sides of his mouth. It's being offered merely to show that Cohen made those statements and that they were inconsistent with his testimony. So by definition, it's not hearsay. Now, I do agree with you that there is a chance that this judge, because I do think he is biased against Donald Trump, there's a chance he may rule it inadmissible. Of course, this is the same judge that let us hear all the inadmissible, irrelevant stuff from Stormy Daniels and the like. If he were to exclude Robert Costello, he would be showing his true colors, and he would also, in my view, be committing additional reversible error. What Costello has to say, it's relevant, it's probative, it's admissible, and if I'm defending Donald Trump in this trial, I would move mountains to try to get Costello on the stand.
Okay, and so Phil Holloway, from where you sit, one of the things that you have is the situation with the jury instructions. And I don't think we've really heard from you yet on that, because it really does seem to come down to that. We do know, based on what Bill reported just a few minutes ago from our producers, that you have a request from the judge for both the defense and the prosecution to send in, okay, what are your red lines? What can you agree on? What do you disagree on? What do you agree on? Is that normal and a regular thing that a judge would ask for as he starts to think about jury instructions as well?
Yes, it is normal that at some point towards the end of the case, the judge will make something like this of a request so that he can get maybe started thinking about what his jury charges will be. But in this case, I don't know how much agreement there's going to be between the parties. Look, this charge conference or charging discussion that's going to go on between the lawyers and the judge is going to be as critical to the outcome of this case as jury selection was, in my view, because the prosecutor's theory of the case, even up until now, in my opinion, is entirely incomprehensible. I can't get my head wrapped around exactly what it is they're saying Donald Trump supposedly did and in what way, particularly with respect to this other crime, right? It's bizarre that we are this far along in any criminal case, let alone one involving the former leader of the free world, the President of the United States, where this far along in the trial, the prosecutor's theory of the case is so jumbled and so incomprehensible. So we're going to hopefully find out exactly what their theory is when the judge puts it in writing and instructs the jury. But it's a big mystery to me, and I thought I was crazy. I thought maybe it was just me, but I've spoken to other of my colleagues, other people who were talking about this trial, and it seems to be more like universally, none of us really can fully understand what Alvin Bragg is trying to get at here. And if it goes to the jury like that, and the jury can't understand it, well, that can only help Donald Trump.
Phil Holloway, we have kind of relied on this Bob Costello interview that we did last week. Last week. Last week here in America's Newsroom. He was the attorney out of New York working for Michael Cohen. He told Dana and me this last Thursday.
Besides making that statement, I swear to God, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. He also said more times than that answer, guys, I want you to understand, I will do whatever the F I have to do. I will never spend a day in jail. And then he'd slam his hand on the conference room table. Now, what does that mean to you? That means this guy is saying, I will lie, cheat, steal, do whatever I have to do. I'm not going to jail. Well, he did go to jail. And who do you think he blames for that?
What about that, Phil? It was the delayed sentence. I believe the judge allowed him to have, I think, a surgery or an operation.
And then there was COVID.
Yes, and then I think he showed up about 3 months later. Go ahead, Phil.
Well, you know, a fair-minded judge would absolutely let this witness come to court because he has information that directly bears on the prosecution's key witness. Specifically, that information that he has bears on this witness's bias. A man that will steal from his employer is a man that will do anything to his employer, and he's already admitted that he wants to see Trump in prison. And of course, the things that we've talked about before with him TikToking with the T-shirt showing Trump in jail, his bias against Donald Trump is extreme, and it oozes out of every pore in his body. And when the state's case rests upon someone whose credibility is that, which is none, then we have a very big problem. And fairness in the system, due process, fundamental fairness, I think, requires Judge Merchant to allow this witness to come to court and to tell this jury that this witness has lied to them in this very case.